pornography, is this a bad thing?
It's a terrible thing. Yeah, it's a terrible thing. Everything about it is terrible.
Really?
Well, first of all, it's addictive, and no wonder. I mean, any 13-year-old boy can now look at more beautiful, naked women in one day than the greatest king who ever lived managed in his whole life. Right, so it's like, wow, that's not...
And talk me through the downstream consequences of such a possibility.
It's easy.
It's easy?
Yeah.
It's easy to get what?
Sexual gratification. That's not good. It's not supposed to be easy. And it's easy. So, how desperate do you have to be to get married? Not desperate at all. It's like, yeah, right, what do you know? You don't know anything. I'm married just because I'm in love. You're an idiot. God, to put you in a position where you're going to have the romantic adventure of your life, the true romantic adventure of your life, you're going to need love and desperation, buddy. You're going to need everything working on your side. Love, desperation, terror, shame, guilt, everything working for you. And so you take the easy road.
Pornography.
Sure, you're not desperate anymore.
So people that consume pornography, do you think they're less motivated to attack life? And to
Well, they're definitely less
goals?
motivated to pursue sexual relationships with women.
A way of that, are they then less likely to then want to go to the gym or have a career?
Definitely.
It's an interesting idea.
How much of what men do they do to impress women?
A lot.
It's like, yeah, like all of it. All of it. I mean, the status battles that men, back to the law firms, for example. So the men I worked with, they're very concerned with their bonuses and their end of the year performance reports. Why? Well, part of it was the money. Most of them had lots of money. It's like, I'd ask them, they say, well, the money is how we keep score. Well, what does that mean? Well, money is the way that men in those competitive enterprises say they compare themselves to one another. And why do they want to be at the top? Because women peel from the top. So men are trying to impress women all the time, and they'll do it in positive ways and in pathological ways. The window for sexual representation started to open in the 1920s, let's say, but it really got going with Playboy. Then Penthouse came out right after that. And Penthouse was like full frontal nudity display. And then Hustler came out, and Hustler was sort of, well, whatever Penthouse didn't show you, Hustler will show you. And it got pretty lowbrow, like it was a rough, low-class magazine. It just shed all the pretensions that Playboy and Penthouse had. And then the net came along. It's like all those engineers who couldn't establish a relationship with an actual woman, exchanging pornography. What, 25% of internet traffic, something like that? That desire to exchange pornography, was that what created the net? Yeah. Was a huge part of it. What's that done? Well, as you pointed out, I think 30% now of Japanese men and women under 30 are virgins. It's about the same in Korea. Relationships between men and women are falling apart in the rest of the West in the same sort of way. Now, can you attribute that to pornography? Certainly part. Like if I was a young woman and I was looking at the pornography world online, I'd think, yeah, maybe not.
One of the interesting things we noticed when we were doing some research on this was what the top Google search around this subject matter is, how do I quit? And I feel like the third one is, how do I quit? And that it's in such high quantity of people searching Google for how to quit pornography that it feels desperate. Like it feels desperate.
Well, why wouldn't it be addictive?
And why doesn't pornography feel good to people?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Well, there's nothing heroic about it, that's for sure. It's like it's obviously nothing to be proud of. That's a different issue than whether or not it's wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's certainly not an accomplishment.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone would disagree about that. It's not an accomplishment. Well, maybe sex is supposed to be an accomplishment. Maybe you violate the spirit of sexuality itself when it's not an accomplishment. You certainly do that if you rape, right? So is it an accomplishment? Probably. So what if your accomplishment is false? Well, then what are you betraying? Well, if it's associated with sex, maybe you're betraying the most fundamental possible thing. Certainly possible. Like, well, there's life in sex. That's pretty much that, right? You're alive and you reproduce from a biological perspective. And so you're violating the spirit of what? Maybe you're violating the spirit of relationship. Maybe you're violating the spirit of adventure, the spirit of romance, the spirit of reproduction, the spirit of life. Likely.
It's so interesting that a lot of people seem to be angry at it. They seem to be angry with what's done to them.
Angry. They should be angry.
Even on an individual level, people seem, in the comment section of these episodes that we've done about the subject matter, people seem to be angry about its existence and what it's done to them.
They should be angry. They should be outraged. It's outrageous. It's outrageous.
Would you ban it if you were in charge of the world?
I don't know how to answer that. I think any policies that require force rather than voluntary compliance are generally bad policies. There are restrictions that should be placed on its distribution, but I would have to spend a lot of time thinking through what those were from a policy perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's wrong. No, I don't think. I know it's wrong. That doesn't mean I know how that should be dealt with at the level of policy. It's complicated. I do understand why young men and young women are angry about it. It's like, where are the adults? Where are the adults? Where have they gone? They're not protecting like 11-year-old kids from what you can see on the net. You know, I remember when I was a kid, I got a hold of some of these underground comics from the 1960s. And a lot of the underground comic artists they're pretty pathological creatures. Like Robert Crumb's a good example. And Crumb led a pretty good life for someone as demented as he is. And there's a very famous documentary made about the Crumb brothers. And Robert Crumb was the establisher. He was one of the people who established the genre of graphic novel, really, back in the 60s in Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. And his imagination goes places that you don't want to be along for the ride. Seriously. And I read some of that material when I was like 11, you know. I never forgot it. It was shocking as hell. And like typical 11-year-old now, it's like, there are things that he is going to see that he'll never forget. It's not good.